Hey everybody, Joel Rather here, Hunt, Hike, Harvest Outdoors. We have a really fun shoot that we're doing today. We've been meaning to do this for quite a while as we've continued to accumulate some things from our friends at Pnuma. Over the last couple of years, we have had the pleasure of working with Pnuma, utilizing some of their stuff, testing it out in the fields. We've got some cool things coming down the pipeline here that will be out this season. But we want to take you through the things that we use in the field during some of our day-to-day stuff, during some of our shoots in the summertime, our scouting, archery season, mid to late season time period, as well as some of the things that we do later on in the season, like going out and getting in the blind, doing some of our waterfowl hunting, maybe some late season rifle things. We're going to kind of walk you through how we layer some of this stuff up, the way we utilize it, and give you a better context to how all of these things might be a good fit, as well as share some of the additional pieces that we technically either don't use or that are available in the Pnuma line that might be of value to you. All right, so we're going to kind of start digging into this. We're going to work our way kind of from the inside out. And what we want to do is show you some of the things that we utilize, how we layer things up depending upon our kind of preferences as well as time of year, and give you an idea of like some of the features inside of some of these items within the Pnuma line, tell you why we like to utilize them and for what purpose and functionality, and then kind of give you any of the additional pieces as well as some connectivity to some of the specific reviews that we have on some of these products on our page as well, and we'll provide you with a link for those too. So to get started, if we look all the way down on the left-hand side, we're going to kind of work our way across the table here. These are some of the ancillary pieces, things that we throw on our pack on a daily basis, stuff that maybe we put on, take off, depending upon how much it warms up or the time of year. And one of the things that I always have in my pack is this guy here, and this is their reversible beanie that has the Kaza camo on the outside. I can flip this thing inside out. It's fleece lined on the inside. And this is just an awesome piece to have on hand. I can take it on, put it off, and I always carry this in my pack. I love to have it. It's a super warm hat, probably that kind of mid to late season or those chilly mornings where you might want to have a little bit of protection. I run pretty hot, so I don't necessarily need it a ton, but I really like to have it on those cooler mornings. To go along with that, we have this Recon glove. This is an awesome glove here. It has the fingers and thumb so that we can still operate some of our electronic devices and things like that. I don't have to be taking them on and off. They've got this reinforced kind of webbing, and there's a little bit of tack to it on here, so as we're grasping or gripping onto things, it really has a super nice feel. And the nice thing with these is they're not big and bulky. They fit very well, so my dexterity with them is really great in order to get into things, grab stuff, or needing to be able to actually shoot with these gloves on is definitely an option. So we're a big fan of these, especially during early season for archery season and things like that, or if you just need to have gloves kind of quick and easy to keep the hands from getting chilled. They do have an option for a waypoint glove, which is a little bit heavier glove. I'm going to probably look at embarking upon adding those in for this upcoming season, but I typically go with that Recon glove a lot, and I'm used to, once we get out and get moving in the woods, not necessarily needing a whole lot of protection with my hands because I run pretty warm and I don't necessarily need a ton of extra. The one thing that we really like, they came out with these last summer, is just this neck gaiter or a buff. And this is just of a nice light material here if you need to get your face covered or anything like that. In the summertime, when we do some of our 3D shoots, we love taking this guy, dumping it into a nice cool bucket of water, or dousing it or throwing it down in the creek or something like that. And early season, a lot of times when we see some of those high temperatures, we're actually looking to cool off. And so we really love having this guy available to us. And again, this is another option I like to just carry simply in my pack. So now, as we start to move on to some of the layering and base layering within here, a lot of the stuff in the middle of the table here is where we start with some of these things. And so one of the things that we really liked from last year that was a new addition to the Pnuma line was this Renegade piece. And this is a quarter zip here. I use this thing a ton during archery season last year. Has a nice quarter zip. It's super lightweight. It's very breathable. Has kind of their wicking technology in it. So during some of those hotter days and things like that, it really didn't need a whole lot of extra stuff over in this neighborhood. And so as I warmed up and got out of my coat, I went with this quite a bit, and this was a really, really nice piece. If you're not a big fan of the quarter zip, they also make a long and short sleeve in that Renegade as well. And this is just another nice piece made of the exact same material, but just in a shirt that you can get either in a long sleeve version or a short sleeve version. And the cool thing with this is they do come with the little thumb kind of pieces here. So if you want to get the hand covered a little bit, make sure the sleeve stays down. Just a nice extra piece. And a lot of times I may start with having this guy and maybe even having that on hand as well, or carrying one of them in my pack. If you are a merino fan, the merino line from Pnuma is awesome. And they have a lot of options with that. They come with the option to have a merino bottom that actually is in the Kaza pattern. A huge fan of that. I typically don't run with a layer underneath any of my pants. I just don't typically get cold enough that I need it unless I'm sitting too long. If you're a tree stand guy or something like that, you might look at that merino line, but we run the two different versions of this. Jason is a big fan of their Gunnison hoodie. And this Gunnison hoodie is from their merino. I believe they're updating to a new merino this year, which should be super, super cool. But it comes with this concealment hoodie here. It's a quarter zip. And then it also has this chest pouch in it as well, and a front pouch here should you need to carry, say, your recon gloves or have anything else super handy. So it does have that nice front pouch in it. It's long sleeve. Again, comes with those thumb kind of slits in there, and this thing is awesome. Now, if you're like me, I'm actually not a hood guy. I like to have either a hat or the beanie on, and I don't typically like to have my ears covered if I don't have to. And since I'm not typically wearing it a lot, I don't like to have something additionally that's maybe bundled up or bunching up on the top of my back with my pack on and that type of thing. So I actually go with their quarter zip. This is the exact same material, still in the merino, still has the same fittings here through the sleeve, has the quarter zip on the front as well as this front pocket, but it does not have the extra pouch in the front. And so this is actually a little bit lighter. As I was kind of setting all this out, I was trying to figure out why his felt so much heavier. Number one, obviously Jason's a much larger human at 6'8", and his is a much bigger piece here in terms of just size, but just the extra material that we have in this front pouch as well as the hood makes this guy just a touch heavier than this quarter zip, which is my go-to, and I wear this a lot as well. So between this and that Renegade, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of stagger those. I'll wear one on one day and then I'll switch them out and wear the other on the other day, let this guy air out just a little bit. And I really like having the option of both of those. I think that the merino obviously provides just a touch more warmth, especially during September and things like that, whereas the other is much lighter than what the Renegade or the merino is compared to the Renegade piece. And then they also have some of these bottoms. There's a couple different versions of these. This is actually an older, this is a Rogue version that I will utilize in colder weather. They now have a base haven top and bottom that comes as a base layer, which is a phenomenal piece. I may look to upgrade and add those pieces in as well. And there is always something that you can use as an option, whether you're a merino guy or you want to go with more of a blend of what the base haven looks like. That's kind of where we start with a lot of this stuff, is kind of what are the first things we're going to put on, and then depending upon what the conditions are or how we're going to kind of go about, depending upon whether we're getting out and putting on miles or whether we're sitting, will usually determine like how much of this or which option of these that we're going to choose. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone through some of our base layers, we've shown you some of the options there. We're going to start talking a little bit about their pants and some of the options that they have there, some of the things that we utilize that are kind of our go-tos on a daily basis. The first one, which is going to be kind of the lightest option of all of them, was a pant that they came out with last year. This is their Pathfinder pant, and you can see this comes in a little more of a khaki color, and this is the only color that they offer it in. This pant last year became one of our absolute favorites, and some of the features in it, number one, is this material is nice and stretchy. It's got a little bit of give to it, so the fit on it is really awesome. They've done some things like reinforcing the corner here, so if you carry a knife or that type of thing, you're not going to get the corners of your pants kind of boogered up or anything like that. It does have 2 pockets on the back, so it functions just like a normal pant would. And then there's a little bit of reinforcement here throughout, kind of gusseted into the knees as well. And then it also has just a touch of a taper so that they're not big and bulky on the bottom half. Last year for us, this was our go-to in scouting. This was our go-to when we went out to, say, like Total Archery Challenge or some of our other 3D shooting events and things like that, our Western Hunt Fest and that type of stuff. This was our go-to. We wear this guy on a daily basis. We wear this out into the field. And I know Jason and myself actually wore this pant a couple times, even during archery season, and they functioned and performed awesomely. And they're a little bit breathable. This is a unlined, so there's not a whole lot of insulation or anything like that it's going to provide you, but the fit on these guys is really, really good. And I like to wear these not only just for hunting based stuff, but I'll wear these on a daily basis if we're going to go out and just shoot or do anything like that, practicing and stuff. That pant comes out a lot. In fact, this is the type of pant that I would prefer to have even multiple pairs of because of how often I wear that pant. Now, when we look at moving into something that's a little bit more of what we would consider to be some of our particularly hunt-based or things like that, this pant last year is their Pursuit pant. They just came out with this pant as well. This pant actually replaced one of their older lines, I believe, which was their Tenacity pant. And Jason actually runs that pant. It's not still available. This and an Alpha Vertex, which we're going to get to when we get over here. But this pant was something that we tested out. A lot of people kind of asked us about this. If you really want to know more about either of these, you can check out the link up above here, as there is a review we did on the Pursuit pant, which is really, really a nice piece. And some of the things that they did with this pant, number one is you're going to see that in the front here, they have reinforced this. There's abrasion kind of resistant pieces on the knee. This also comes with a D30, I believe, knee pad that is removable. And that stuff is phenomenal. So if you're a spot and stock guy, if you're working on being down and dirty and really like to have that extra piece in there, they run a really articulated knee pad that can be taken in and out of this. That is tremendous because it's not super bulky and yet its functionality is really, really good. So that's a nice added piece to that. And then these cuffs here actually have a cinch down here. So if you like to make sure that you're not getting stuff up and underneath of your boots, or you want to have them down tight, you can add that function in there and get these tight. There's a little bit of a taper to these guys, but the thing that I really enjoyed with this, there's a single back pocket here, but what Pnuma did with this pant is, if you'll notice, I have my normal standard front pocket, and then rather than a lot of the customary hunting pants that like the cargo style on the side, they went with a front pouch here that is more on the thigh. And at first I was a little bit kind of leery about how's that going to work. And I actually, using some other brands in the past that had that cargo option, I really didn't like. I felt like when I put calls and other things down in there that my pants kind of were always slogging around a little bit. And so the option to have things at the ready here in the front, and these are a zip closure, realistically became one of my favorite aspects of this pant because again, It just makes quick and easy access, and it's also keeping all my gear a lot more concise, where I don't have things loosely kind of moving around, and at the same time even the noise factor of having stuff kind of slogging around my pants. So I'm a huge fan of this pant. This was my go-to all of this season and last season, and it also has that same feature as this Pathfinder, which is that it has some give, it has some stretch to it, and it's going to move with you. And so this pant is really, really probably my favorite for archery season. And actually, even when we got into kind of mid-season, if I were to add one of the base layers like the merino bottom or the base haven or something like that, I can get that under this pant and add a little bit of warmth to that, because this is not technically an insulated pant, but it is one of my favorites for sure. So go check out that review if you really want to know more about that pant. This is my kind of go-to day in and day out. They do actually make this in a zip-off version if that's something that interests you, especially on some of those hot days, or if you just get back to camp and want to kind of peel down a little bit. They make this in a zip-off version that would allow you to have this in more of a short. So if you're feeling adventurous, that's a nice option that you can also look at. The last couple options that Pnuma offers in their pant is they also have a brush guard pant that is tremendous. That thing is bulletproof for if you're an upland guy, if you're getting out and you're doing a lot of bushwhacking. I know some of the areas that we get into in the backcountry, even where you're really just hammering through thickets and scrub oak and things like that. That is a tremendous pant as well, something that would be worth looking at. And that might be a good option for you as well. And then as you get into later season, we're going to talk a little bit about the pairings of what it looks like with some of our coats here. And there's some options that fall in line with that, which we'll go through next. Okay, so we're moving further down to the right side of the table here. We've got a couple options here with our coats that we want to kind of run through, things that Jason and I both use, a little bit of a mix and match with these. As I mentioned before, I run pretty warm, so I don't typically like to have a ton of bulk and a ton of heavier clothes on me, especially during early and mid-season. I typically just don't need it. So one of my favorite pieces that I added last year is this Alpha Vertex vest, and you can see that this thing runs in the Kaza camo. This actually does have a packable option, so I can pack this thing up, and it's awesome to be able to either take that off or throw it on, depending upon if we get temperature changes and things like that. It does have the ability to cinch down the top here. It has a little bit of a higher neck, so it's going to sit just a little bit up as far as the collar goes. Super simple, easy zip off here, and it has 100 grains of fleece on the inside of this guy. So it does provide a really good warmth factor to it, which is just about right for me. They do make this in a regular standard coat option as well. But the way that I like to operate in the woods is I typically will have either my Renegade or my Merino top underneath of this. I throw this guy on, and usually in September and early season, I'm pretty good with that, and I don't need a whole lot more than that, even though I'll probably have one of these guys along should we get any change in weather or pack away one of those. But this thing is tremendous. It's one of my favorites as far as my tops go, just because it fits my style and kind of how I am in terms of regulating heat and things like that. The ability for it to kind of stop the wind, the ability for it to be a little bit water resistant is also really, really nice. So last year we ran into a ton of rain, and even though we were miles back in, this thing functioned tremendously for me. So huge fan of that. Now, the other thing that we also got introduced to last year is this Durango fleece. And this thing is super, super heavy, super, super warm. It has the quarter zip. There is a zip pocket here in the front if you want to store, your phone or other items in there. And then these kind of elastic cuffs on the top here. Pretty straightforward, but this guy is heavy duty. So a lot of times I know Jason likes to use this in the late kind of early winter months and things like that, walking his dog, getting out. If we go out to the range or something like that, this is a really nice, just quick pullover piece. And as you can see, just in color alone, this is a great everyday wear in addition, or if you're someone who really runs super cold who might want that extra piece to layer up with, this would be a great layering piece to go underneath, say, one of these guys, if you are someone who just likes to have that added piece of warmth there. When we start moving into the actual coats and the coats that we use, we have two different options here. And at first glance, as you look at these, they look very, very similar. And there are some similarities between these two. On my right here, this is their Waypoint coat. This is Jason's. This is what he utilizes on a daily basis. This thing is windproof up to 50 miles an hour. It has their Silver Strike technology in it, which is their antimicrobial technology that's inside of this coat, which helps kind of keep this thing from stinking, and it's breathable and all that stuff, which is phenomenal. Has these super heavy duty zippers here, so there's an access point in here if you want to actually get to the inside of the coat here, as well as our standard pockets on here, as well as two chest pockets on the front. So you can see these guys zip down super nice. I can always have things on the ready in those positions. And then the hood. And the nice thing about this hood is actually adjustable, so I can cinch this guy down if we really get into some heavier weather and things like that. And this hood actually will zip off. So if you prefer to not have the hood, you can actually remove this hood a little bit. And the sleeves here and the cuffs here, there's actually a lined piece in here, as well as the ability to tighten these down. So this allows us to still be able to shoot with this coat on if we need to. And this is probably for us a really good mid-season to late season coat if we're layered up underneath of it. The inside of this has Pnuma's kind of insulated, nice and soft kind of liner on the inside of it. And just due to the technology and everything that's inside of this coat, it is a tremendous coat. Now, my option with my coat is their Selkirk coat. And the small difference in here, as I kind of lay this thing out, is really at first glance in terms of design, you're going to see a lot of the same things. We have the same access in here as we did in the Waypoint coat. And the front pockets, we have both of the front zippers here. The difference between these kind of zippers and pockets on this is these are waterproof zippers on the Selkirk. And the Selkirk also is waterproof, water resistant, and they have the Porel technology in it, which is their breathability kind of technology. And typically on standard within how that works, there's a scale that the standard is usually about 20 to 50,000. I don't know what those units necessarily mean, but the technology within and how much of that is in this coat is actually 120. So you're talking about having more than double the breathability in this coat with the warmth that you still would get with this coat. So the liner is very, very similar here. And the difference with this is we still have the adjustable hood on here. I love having this visor, as I mentioned, with us getting as much rain as we did last year. They both kind of come with that feature, which kind of covers out a little bit over the top of our forehead, so I can adjust that down. But this hood is not removable. I would say in terms of warmth and functionality, everything about these coats is going to feel really, really similar. And for me, I can wear this thing in the dead of winter with my Alpha Vertex on underneath of that, and I've yet to be cold. We did a duck hunt last year where it was 10 below, and the only thing for me that was cold, unfortunately, were my feet. But other than that, I was good to go. And now, to go along with that, they do also make a pant for the Waypoint, and they also make a pant in the Selkirk that matches this, as well as the Alpha Vertex. So there is a matching pant with all of those, whether you choose the vest, the coat, the Waypoint, the Selkirk, or the Alpha Vertex. There's a matching pant that has the same technology in it as the coat to go along with it. So that's really, really a nice piece. If you're someone who likes to mix and match and make sure that everything is kind of uniform, that is definitely a very quick and simple option. But again, we're kind of showing you how we like to mix and match these things to best fit our style and the things that we like to utilize and what we found to work best for us. The last piece is, if you're that person who runs super cold all the time, goes out and sits in the tree stand for hours on end, and you need to get that extra warmth, is the heated core piece. And the heated core can be done as, again, our layer piece. They have a heated core bottom as well as the heated core top. If you haven't seen that review, I would click on this link up here and check that out. That piece, both of those heated core pieces are absolutely phenomenal. So that 10 below day that I just mentioned, we both had the heated core top on underneath of there. Cranked that thing on a little bit and it kept us warm for the entire hunt that day. And so I couldn't really express how much more that is a nice additional piece. Jason uses that a lot of times in the mornings when we're out kind of in that mid-season, sometimes even during archery. He runs a lot colder than I do. So for him, he actually likes to have that available. You can turn it on, turn it off, but click on that link, go check out that heated core piece, see all the functionality within there. And then with everything that we have here, it should give you a really good snapshot of how you can utilize and mix and match a lot of these pieces or combine them together to fit almost any type, style, time of year that realistically should have you covered. And the thing that we love about Pnuma is that every piece that you see on this table is held up by their lifetime guarantee, which means that if you should break something, if something should rip, if something should tear, fail in any way, Pnuma's got you covered. They're going to take care of you. They're going to replace that if they can't fix it. And that's something I think is not seen anywhere else in the industry. And I believe that just is why it's that extra piece that sets them apart and why we are such huge fans and supporters of not only how the function of this is, but just the quality and the make of everything that they put out. So we appreciate you guys checking this out. We hope that this is super helpful to you. If you check out the show notes down below, there is our exclusive H3O discount that we provide back to give you guys value. Take advantage of that. It's going to give you 20% off of your entire first order. So if you want to file through all these things, if you want to check out Pnuma or you want to try and take advantage of some savings, hit that link down below. It'll take you straight to this page. You can refer back to these things and check them out. As always, we're super, super happy for everyone that watches and views our page. We hope that you guys enjoy this type of stuff. Please leave your comments down below. Ask us any questions because we're always happy to try and get back to you guys, provide you with as much information as we can and the things that we can do to provide back to you. And we hope that you'll like and subscribe to our page at the same time. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.